It's just bunk. The fact is, we got rid of streetcars because people hated the streetcar. Most streetcar lines in America were privately owned. They were disastrous. They were poorly maintained. They ran late. They smelled. By the late 30s, there were so many cars on the road, and it was quite clear that the American people had decided that they were going the automotive route. We had really bad traffic in the 1930s in the United States. Traffic that makes today's tie-ups look pretty tame in most cases. There was at one point an 84-mile backup outside of New York City, which is just a bit mind-blowing. The fact that it emerged during his presidency, after he had done a lot of talking about highways, really kind of won him the credit for something that in fact stretched back decades and was fully formed, was on paper pretty much in the form that we know the interstates as today, while he was still fighting Germany. I mean, it happened during World War II. These Autobahns, because they did not venture into German cities, but instead went to the frontiers of Germany's neighbors, France, Poland, whatnot, that this highway system was not being developed for use by Germans, just going about their everyday business. This was a military network. And so the Americans came home having concluded that while it was pretty, there were really very few lessons to be learned from the Autobahns. I can't tell you how many times I've heard that the Interstate Highway System is a copy, is an idea ripped off from Hitler's engineers. It's simply not true. A federal technocrat who occupied the top spots in American highways in the federal government for 34 years and under 6 presidents, I think, a guy named Thomas Harris McDonald. His big contribution was that he was an engineer's engineer. He deserves probably the single biggest place in American highway history. They came up with, they put a tax on gasoline, they put a tax on diesel, they put a tax on tires, put a tax on a sales tax on buses and trucks. Actually, the Secretary of the Treasury, George Humphrey, who came up with the idea of structuring it, having this tax money dump into a trust fund, much like Social Security used, and setting it up so that the states could only draw from this trust fund when the money was available. And so that really proved to be the key to the whole thing. The trust fund enabled the country to build it without going into debt, which is pretty remarkable. It's changed where we live, how we live, what we do for a living, what we eat, how we enjoy our leisure hours. You saw the rise of long-distance trucking, which completely changed everything. And long-distance trucking brought refrigerated transportation, which led to being able to go into the supermarket and buy vegetables out of season all year long, which is an experience that now we take for granted, but our parents and our grandparents would have been amazed by that. We've got really good roads here. And we've got to make sure that we invest in maintaining that system so that it remains a really good system of roads. We have made this enormous investment in something that can go to hell pretty quickly if we don't stay on top of it. And then what do you have? If you have the world's biggest public works project ever and it's unusable, you've got something that takes up an awful lot of space that's not doing anyone any good.